Welcome to Married to History, where we try to be informative, entertaining, and family friendly.
Aloha, I'm Christopher, and I have a fancy piece of paper on my wall that says I know more about history than most people do.
And I'm Shirley, and I'm a homeschool mom that relies on good curriculum, horrible histories on BBC, and Christopher to teach.
History isn't horrible!
And Christopher to teach our kids history.
History isn't horrible!
That's
History isn't horrible!
We'll get to that. Okay. That's an episode for another day.
Before we get into our episode about history not being horrible, let's take a minute to address some small corrections from last time.
It's important to keep in mind that I don't warn Christopher about our topic beforehand. It's fun for me to see what he knows right off the top of his head. If you would like to hear a more comprehensive and well-prepared episode on any topic, just let us know. So, honey, what have we learned since last time?
I learned that the term the Great Depression actually came from Herbert Hoover. I did not realize this. So, throughout history, whenever there have been banking or financial epidemics or problems of some kind, in the past, they were always referred to as the scares. I mean, you could look it up in history. There's
Panics.
the scare or the panic. Sorry, yes, the panic of this year, that year, something to that nature. So, around about 31, in a public address, Hoover actually believing that panic was too scary a word, instead in his speech referred to the epidemic of 29 as a depression. Want to be clear? A depression. He did not coin the phrase the Great Depression. He just called it a depression because he thought that sounded better than panic or scare or whatever the case might be. It was actually a British author about economist, yes, about 2-3 years later, who actually coined the phrase the Great Depression, and that's what stuck since then.
Right. The quote that you sent me earlier today was from Hoover. I need not recount to you that the world is passing through a Great Depression.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and that was 31. And then that economist coined the proper noun, the term the Great Depression in 34.
Okay.
So 3 years later. Cool. One thing that I learned that we forgot to say in the last episode, and we're not going to talk about mustard gas every episode.
Oh my goodness.
We're not. But something I forgot to say. Mustard gas is not just bad for your lungs. It does hurt exposed skin. So it will blister you, and it's real bad. Real bad. Let's get into today's topic then. Honey, I have a question for you.
What kind of question?
So you'll like this question.
What kind of question?
So our anniversary is coming up.
The fact that you're not telling me what kind of question has me.
I'm getting there. Our anniversary is coming up. I think we should go on a fun trip, just you and I. Do you have any ideas of where you'd like to go?
I can think of a few places.
Where?
Hawaii, Disneyland, Virginia.
That would be fun.
Germany, Japan, China. Alaska might be nice.
Any of those would be awesome. I was thinking, though, what about Alexandria? Because I know...
Which one?
Well, that's a good question. I know that Alexander the Great is like your historical idol. So,
what?
Well, you liked him. You liked him.
He's a cool guy. My idol.
You wouldn't call him your idol?
No. He's a cool guy. He's not my idol.
Hero?
He's a cool guy. Not my idol. Not my hero.
Okay.
He's an idol to some. Yeah. He's a hero to some. Yeah. Is he a cool guy? Yeah.
Okay.
Do you see posters of him around here anywhere?
We don't have any posters on our wall.
Okay, that's a good point.
Either way, you respect Alexander the Great.
I respect Alexander the Great.
I think it would be really cool to visit the city he named after himself, Alexandria. Or maybe we could go to Alexandria. Or Alexandria. Or actually, what about Iskenderun?
Iskenderun?
However you pronounce it. What does that mean again? Isn't there an English word for it?
It's Turkish for Alexandria.
Oh, that's right. You saw this coming.
History isn't horrible.
So for some background, For people who have no idea what we're talking about, the kids and I love the BBC show Horrible Histories.
History isn't horrible.
Never watch the American TV series Horrible Histories. It's actually horrible, but the BBC one is awesome.
History isn't horrible.
And they did a sketch because it's all sketch comedy. They did a sketch which we love.
They love.
And we quote it to
They
Christopher
quote it
all the time. And it's all about how Alexander the Great named all these cities after himself. So they're all named Alexandria.
No, some of them were Alexandropolis.
Oh, yes. Very different.
They weren't all Alexandria. That's the point.
Some of them were Iskandarin, which means Alexandria.
Give me strength.
Do you know that this is an audio format and they can't see you like face palming and
Well, now they know.
and pouting?
Well, now they know.
So what can you tell me about Alexander and why the heck he named 50 million cities after himself?
Because he was a great conqueror and emperor, and he wanted to make sure that the world, to quote Hamilton, knew his name.
But like 50 million cities.
Some people are more narcissistic than others.
Is he a narcissist? Would you call him a narcissist?
What would you call him?
Well, I mean, it seems like a very narcissistic thing to do. Yeah. But you think he was a narcissist?
I absolutely think he was a narcissist.
Yeah? Okay. It didn't, I don't know why it didn't occur to me to label him that way. Okay.
No, I think he was a narcissist. With what little information we have, I think a lot of people encourage that or egg that on. We know that among the many things that he grew up was the belief that Philip wasn't actually his father, but that his mother actually had an affair with Zeus, so he was actually descended directly from Zeus.
Hold on. This is what he believed, or these are little legends that have cropped up around him?
These are at least legends that have cropped up around him. What he believed, I suppose we can't say we know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that he literally thought that he was descended from Zeus. Wow. Amongst other things we know, or again, so everything we know about him was written, or most of what we know about him today was written by historians 3, 4, even 500 years after Alexander was already dead. Mm-hmm. But to the best of our knowledge, they took their information, or they got all their information from reading contemporary sources of his life. Okay. So basically, to say, at best today, we have secondary sources that claim to have gotten their information from primary sources.
What happened to all the primary sources?
Dead and destroyed, burned up in a fire, lost.
Well, that stinks.
It happens. People tend to die in history. Things tend to get lost, misplaced, burned up, destroyed in history.
Okay.
So, assuming that the information that we have from the historians that have survived to this day, we know that at least on one occasion, Alexander visits a temple in Egypt while he
was it in Alexandria, Egypt?
No, because Alexandria hadn't been. I don't think he'd even started the foundations for Alexandria yet at that time. I could be wrong. But yes, he visited the temple of Amun-Ra. Okay. Which is I know plenty of people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but for lack of better terms, it's basically the Zeus of Egyptian mythology.
Or is Amun-Ra, or is Zeus the Amun-Ra of Greek mythology?
No, because yes, all right, fine. So it is perceived that that the Greeks after Alexander, or maybe even before Alexander's time, called the temple Amun Zeus.
Oh,
to indicate that Zeus was the king of the gods. Okay. But anyway, you're distracting me. The point is that
I never distract you.
He went to this temple. And at this temple, he prayed and asked 3 questions. Among them was his divinity. And we know that the answer that he received was that, yes, he was the son of God.
Oh, okay.
The son of Zeus.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And there were a couple of other things that happened through his life, or at least, again, according to the historians that we have, that kind of reinforced that idea over and over again. Witnesses that were there at about the time that his mother conceived him said that she was often caught sleeping with serpents, and Zeus often took the form of a serpent in Greek mythology.
Gross.
We know that, though granted, this one doesn't really go to his lineage, but I remember with the story of the Gordian knot, when Alexander was able to untie that, there
Mm-hmm.
was said to be a massive lightning storm that day, and Alexander saw this
Right.
as Dad or Zeus approving, because some people claim that he cheated, but he said, no, 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 I figured it out.
Okay, now this is a really cool story. Tell me about the Gordian knot. That's the one where he cheated, didn't he? Cut it in half.
You and it's one of those things. Okay, you've heard the phrase of "all's fair in love and war." What
Yeah.
you've heard the phrase of thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
So this is one of the things that makes Alexander a really cool guy, in my opinion. He was very good at thinking outside of that box.
Right.
So to narrow it down, there's a knot, this big mystifying knot
So
that's
like
tied to an ox cart. And I don't remember what else it was tied to at the time that Alexander arrived.
okay.
I want to say it was tied to, might have been a tree or to another piece of equipment or something. I don't remember what it was tied to. Heck, it might not have been tied to anything. It might have just been the knot. There's this big, horridly massive knot. Like I think it's fair to say that this knot was like the size of a beach ball. It was a big knot.
So comparable to like the Christmas lights when you take them out of the box to put them up
Yes,
each year,
but worse.
but worse.
But worse.
Hard
Because
to imagine.
according to the legend, whoever can untie the knot will become ruler of Asia.
So that's like the Excalibur or the Sword in the Stone,
Sure,
rather.
something like that. But yes, instead of pulling a sword out of a rock, you have to untie a knot.
Got it.
So people for hundreds of years have been trying to untie this knot, and no one's ever been able to do it. At least nobody that's ever recorded in history was able to do it.
Okay.
But Alexander, supposedly, according to the legend, he goes, he finds the knot, he examines it for a while, like everybody else. He can't figure out how to untie it. But then, light bulb, he says to himself, it doesn't matter how it's untied. All that matters is that it's untied. So he pulls out his sword.
Yeah.
He starts whacking at the knot. Eventually, he digs through all the debris, finds the ends, and very easily unties it.
But he didn't untie it. He destroyed it.
But he untied it.
No, he destroyed it.
But he also untied it.
But to untie means to take apart the tie, like to do the opposite of tie it.
So
like you tie it and then run the video in reverse.
Your argument is perfectly sound. So is mine. He still untied it.
Okay.
And again, going back to it, so what we've just discussed.
Yeah.
Plenty of people said that at the time too.
Yeah.
We have reason to believe that plenty of people criticized this and said, you cheated.
Yeah.
But again, with that lightning storm that night,
right,
to Alexander's mind, that was nah, he says I'm good.
Right.
And he did go on to rule what the Greeks at the time thought was all of Asia. They didn't really understand that, oh, hey, there's more after the Persian Empire.
So they had like tiny little corner and they thought it was the whole world.
This is one of the reasons why when Alexander wanted to keep going after they discovered India, all his men were like, nah, bro, we signed up for Persia. We want to go home.
You know what? Horrible Histories did an episode about that too.
History isn't horrible.
They did this. The sketch was like, it was like an advertisement for a new board game, like a Risk-like board game. And so Alexander had all of his generals there sitting at the table and they're playing the game, conquer whatever land, Persia. And everyone's like, yay, we won the game. And his generals stand up to go. And he's like, but we're not done. Sit down. Now we get to conquer. And he whacks the next board game down on the board.
Like an expansion.
An expansion, yeah. Exactly. And then he kept expanding the board. And at the end, the generals are like, but like, we're done. I thought we were done a while ago. Like, I'm tired of this game. It was great. It was great. You should watch that episode.
History isn't horrible.
There were a lot of horrible things in history, but we're not going there. I want to learn about Alexander.
What else did you want to know about it?
So he cheated at the Gordian knot.
If you want to believe that, fine. I still say no. He thought outside the box and he did something that nobody else was able to do. Maybe a good way to say it was that nobody else was brave enough to try.
Because if you destroy it, then the next guy can't win fairly because it's gone.
What part of the legend made you think that after one guy untied it, there would be a next guy after that anyway?
Right. But if everyone agreed...
You think Alexander was going to figure out how to untie it fairly and then tie it back up for the next guy?
No. But if everyone agreed, consensus, that he cheated, Well, it doesn't matter because then now there's no more not. So it can't be won fairly now.
That's a fair argument. Again, so is the argument that, but he found how to do it.
Okay, I guess that's the important
So,
part.
I could be wrong, but I've often thought that this was done on purpose. For any Star Trek fans out there,
Mhm.
you might be familiar with in the second Star Trek movie, and I think they've mentioned this outside of the second Star Trek movie, that there's a test called the Kobayashi Maru test
Yeah.
in Star Trek history, which is a test that all cadets, or at least command applicants, have to go through to test how they'll handle a no-win scenario.
Right.
And Kirk famously is the only cadet in Starfleet history who ever actually beat this test. The test was
Mhm.
designed for everybody to fail because, again, it's supposed to be a no-win scenario. Kirk was able to beat the test by reprogramming the simulator so that it was possible to pass the
See,
test.
that's cheating
See, yes,
too.
you say it's cheating, and I will admit, yeah, it's cheating. That is obviously not what the designers intended for people to
Yeah.
go through.
It's not he
But
didn't
at
learn
the
the
same
lesson he
time,
was supposed to learn.
but at the same time, he so did he cheat though, or did he prove his point, which is
Yeah.
that there is no such thing as a no-win scenario? The designers of the test said that we've got a no-win scenario here. Kirk
Mhm.
proved no, there is a way to win.
I guess I like
You tell
boxes, I
me.
like rules.
Who would you rather be your leader, especially in times of difficulty? Do you want the guy that's going to sit there and obey the rules and realize that, oh, there's a problem, we got to do something about it, but can't anything be done? Or do
Mhm.
you want a guy who is going to say, all right, here's a problem, this could work as a solution, but I shouldn't do that because that's cheating? I'm not saying there's a right or a
It
wrong here.
depends.
I'm saying that there's always going to be the argument. And I know that even though I'm in favor of how Alexander did it, and I love that Kirk did it this way, and
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said that given a similar scenario, I wouldn't take what the route that we've been calling cheating this time
Right.
too. But certainly there'll be another time where somebody else will do the cheating route, and then I'll say, oh, unfair or whatnot. And that's just because I don't like the outcome. So you
Right.
got that mix of, all right, a lot of the people who are cool with it say, no, it's fair. And most of the people that say, no, it's cheating are the ones that really don't like the outcome.
So the ends justify the means.
That is not what I am saying on a broad
It
scale.
is though.
There are occasions where one can say that the ends justify the means.
Okay.
The ends justify the means is a difficult saying because there are plenty of times where people use it without realizing the double standards or the hypocrisy when they use it.
Right.
One of my favorites today is it seems to be all the rage in America, and I apologize to anybody who's politically sensitive on this matter, to destroy anything that has any kind of record or part of the practice of slavery in America's past. I think that's a foolish decision. I think it's important to remember our past and remember
Mhm.
contributions and things of that nature. But
Definitely.
I'm not the only voter in the country, so I understand that I'm going to get outvoted on it sometimes. But while we complain about all that, like, oh, this like we need to destroy all these things that slaves had anything to do with building, uh, unless I'm mistaken, a huge chunk of European vacations, visitations, and whatnot
Mm.
all benefit off of slave labor, but they don't remember it because it happened so long ago.
Okay.
Everybody who goes to visit the Colosseum, everybody who goes to visit anything left over from the old Roman Empire, those things
Mm.
were built by the Romans, by free Romans who wanted to do these projects. They were also built by slaves. Maybe their slaves were
Right.
better treated. Maybe their slaves were better compensated, but slaves nonetheless. And nobody says that, oh, Italy should tear down, and Italy and France and Britain and anybody else should tear down everything that the Romans ever touched in their countries. That's ludicrous.
Interesting. And that would be a really cool discussion. We can talk about slavery outside of America another time. That would be really cool. You're giving me a look, but I'm saying this because I'm thinking that would be a really cool topic to delve deeper into is slavery in
Yeah,
other
every
countries.
every every part of history is cool to talk about. I'm hard pressed to think of one that isn't.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
You want to say that
But
history isn't horrible? I get that. Yeah, some people say that. Oh, people used to drink their
we're not
urine. People
talking
used to
about
live
horrible
in squalor and
histories.
whatnot. Yeah, those aren't pretty things. I'll grant you, but history isn't
We're
horrible.
not talking about horrible histories. Okay, so I do have a question about the Gordian knot, though.
Okay.
So is it accepted as being a factual event, Or is this like Troy, where we're like, it probably is based on truth, but it's probably more myth?
I have never heard or read anything that suggests to my mind that we are even skeptical on the matter.
Oh,
We are very
okay.
confident that it was real and that it happened.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, good. All right. So, anything else awesome that I need to know about Alexander and why you like him so
Lots, but
much?
not that we can cover in what, 8 minutes?
Did he call himself the Great? Did he give himself that title?
I don't know of any record that ever records him referring to himself as that. Actually, to my knowledge, I don't even know if there's any contemporary evidence that even the people in his lifetime called him that. That
Really?
might be a moniker that he inherited after the fact, that history has given to him, but
Really?
not anybody contemporary did. I wouldn't be surprised if plenty of people during his lifetime called him great, but I don't know if he actually got that title during his
Right.
lifetime or not. I don't remember reading anything that would have said definitively that he did or did not have that title while he was alive.
Oh, that's interesting. What would he have called? Like, what title would he have given himself? Was he going around calling himself Prince or
Off the
Prince
top of my
Alexander? Or I don't know.
off the top of my head, I can only remember a couple. There's one where Darius, the Persian emperor, and he are communicating through letters. And
Mm-hmm.
he tells Darius, "Don't ever address me as an equal again. Let any future correspondence that you have to me be addressed to the king of all Asia." So
Oh,
there's
wow.
one point where he gave himself a title. And we
But that
know
was very presumptuous, and he was making a point to Darius.
perhaps. There was another time where I remember he was talking to his friends, considering it might have been another letter from Darius. He was considering terms that Darius was making for the splitting of the kingdom before Alexander took the whole thing from him. Um, and oh no, he didn't refer to himself as Alexander. One of his friends referred to him as Alexander. Okay, so that's a bad example.
Okay.
So yeah, I can't think off the top of my head of any other correspondence or any other occasions I know of where he ever referred to himself by something other than his name.
Okay, that's interesting.
The discussion I was about to think about was, yeah, one of his friends said that if I were Alexander, I would take that deal, and Alexander just responded, "So would I if I were you." But yeah, so he didn't refer to himself by his name.
Okay. All right. Now, I've heard a lot about Alexander's horse. Apparently, his horse was very
Mm-hmm.
special to him.
Yep.
What was his horse's name?
I was afraid you were going to ask that, and I should know. I'm
You
hitting
should
myself right
know,
now.
because if you say the name, I'm going to recognize it too, because I
Um,
know I've heard it before. Ooh, quiz time.
I can't remember the horse's name, and it's killing me.
Should I Google it?
I remember how he met the horse. I remember the story of the
Wait,
horse.
he met the horse?
Yes.
Wait, like that makes it sound like a meet cute. Like,
If I remember correctly, his had the horse. It was a black horse. It was being shown off to his father. It didn't look like his father was going to be willing to buy it though, because the horse was not responding to its riders, and everybody then thought it was a bad horse. But
yeah.
Alexander, according to the legend, Alexander was the only one that realized, no, you guys are mistaking it. Yeah, I'm not looking at that because I'm going to remember his name.
Okay.
I'm not looking at. She is trying to show me what the name is, and
I just
I'm not
Googled
doing
it. Okay.
I'm going to remember.
Okay, continue.
So anyway, Alexander notices that, okay, no, the horse is actually shying away from its own shadow. It's like being intimidated or scared of its own shadow.
Stupid. Sorry.
That is a mean thing to say about a horse.
Sorry, and I know that horses are easily spooked like that. I know that that's a thing, but if this is supposed to be like this legendary, I could see where this could become a tall tale about Alexander and his horse. His horse was so awesome, but he was afraid of his shadow. It just seems silly.
Anyway, so yes, Alexander turned the horse away from its shadow. He got up and he was able to ride it without any problems.
How was all those trainers or whoever was the people selling the horse? How are they so stupid?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
They've never encountered a skittish horse before that was afraid of a shadow.
Maybe perhaps like other people who didn't know what autism and other things were. They just assumed, oh, bad horse, instead of realizing, must be its shadow.
But people knew about animals back then.
People also drank their urine back then. There's a lot of things that people knew and did not know. And sometimes even the experts can forget an important detail. Like, what the freaking horse's name was.
Do you want me to just show you?
No, you will not show me.
Don't
I'm
bump
going to
the mic.
remember the horse. I keep wanting to say things that I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure it's not Hephaestus. I'm pretty sure it's not Ephesian.
This is fun.
This is not fun. Why can't I remember the horse's name? No,
I know.
Arminia was his friend's name.
I know a famous horse name.
Don't you do it.
What?
Don't say Seabiscuit. Don't say Man of War. Don't you say Traveler. Don't you dare say the horse's name.
How dare you? I was going to say Epona.
That's from Legend of Zelda.
No. Remember, I found out this just yesterday. Epona is an actual horse goddess in Gaul, like Celtic French times.
I give up. What's the horse's name?
You sure? You ready for this?
This is gonna hurt.
Okay, here it is.
Bucephalus. Ah!
That's awesome.
That hurts. That hurts a lot.
That is awesome.
I still know more about history.
Do you know what Bucephalus means?
I do not know what Bucephalus means.
It's a combination of
Does
two
it mean
Greek
woman
words.
who torments husband?
No, it means ox head or ox-headed, something like that.
Unfavorable.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
I could read the Wikipedia and find out why.
Despite your thinking that it was a silly story, Bucephalus and Alexander go on to have a long career together. He remains Alexander's favorite horse for quite some time.
Did he give him a funeral when he died?
If I remember correctly, yes. Full-on military honors, prestige, gold, the whole works. I dare say Alexander was probably the only one that got a better funeral.
Oh my gosh. Did he award Bucephalus with land and jewels and titles?
Now that I say that, I'm worrying that maybe I'm getting that confused with some other guy who gave his horse a funeral. So, yeah. I want to say it was Alexander, but I'm skeptical now. I'm thinking it might have been somebody else, or it might have been that there were other kings or emperors that did the same thing for their horses.
Maybe it was just a thing back then.
Perhaps. I remember Caligula, if I remember correctly, made his horse an official advisor to the emperor.
Caligula was also insane.
Yeah, Caligula did a lot of sketchy things. To be fair, I mean, the dude was raised by a very sketchy guy.
Do you know why?
Raised as like a prisoner to this very sketchy guy.
Do you know why I know that Caligula was insane?
No, I don't know why you know.
Because of horrible histories. You also had a documentary.
History isn't horrible.
Caligula was horrible.
Caligula was a horrible
You
person.
also had a documentary that you used to watch on repeat, and it had a section about Caligula. So I remember that, but I definitely remember details
Caligula's name got mentioned in a section, but that section, if it's the one I believe you're referring to, was talking about
what?
Now I'm forgetting his name. Claudius. I said it was Claudius. I remembered.
Claudius.
I said Claudius.
So who is Claudius to Caligula?
He was his uncle, I believe.
Okay, so the documentary I'm thinking of was about Claudius?
Yes.
And it mentioned Caligula?
Yes.
Okay, so everything I know about Caligula is from Horrible Histories then.
That hurts.
Yep. Yep. Some of the things that Caligula did hurt.
Yes. Okay,
so anyways, Alexander and his horse. Any other fun stories about Bucephalus?
No, that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay. And so Alexander led a long life, conquered all of Asia, and then sat on a throne and had lots of babies and passed his kingdom down to his children, right?
Alexander had no heirs. He lived a short life, dying in his 30s.
That stinks.
His kingdom was divided, and because it was believed by all of his generals, his inner circle, that not one among them was worthy of taking on the whole emperor like him. They all just kind of agreed to divide it up between them, and peace didn't last between them. They all ended up declaring war on each other, trying to conquer more territory than was originally divvied out to them in that final allotment. And to my knowledge, he never actually sat on a throne because he died while they were quasi on the way back to Macedonia. Alexander insisted
Dang.
that Alexander finally gave in to his men, said, fine, we'll go home, but he insisted on attacking every city they passed on the way back home.
Did he name all of them Alexandria as he went?
And he received a mortal wound as they were attacking one of those cities.
That stinks.
So, as to my knowledge, he never actually sat on a throne.
Dang. But everyone kept his name and their cities.
He might have sat on Darius's throne for a time after he conquered Persia, but then in a drunken fit, he burned the palace down, so probably didn't sit on it too often.
Dang. In a drunken fit?
Yeah, well, okay, well, not in a drunken fit.
Did he throw a temper tantrum?
He wasn't in a drunken fit. He was in a drunken stupor. According to the legend, I don't remember if it was his wife or if it was someone else at the time, told him that, hey, you want to make sure that the people of the Persian Empire love you or the people in the capital city love you? You should burn down the palace. And he was drunk and did it.
Oh my god!
I remember correctly, before he died, he did write something, a letter or something to somebody in which he indicated that, he regretted doing that.
Dang. Okay, last question. So he was 30. Like, I knew this. He was super young.
Super young, yeah.
Remind me, when did he start his campaigns?
That's a technicality. When you say he starts his campaigns, do we mean like when he was the guy in charge after his father died, or like his first military campaigns?
Like, when did he get power, I guess?
He got power after his father died. His father was killed by an assassin, somebody who I want to say was formerly of the royal household, like a former bodyguard or maybe a former relative. I don't remember what the guy's connection was. And it was often, like, I think to the end of his days, and even now, to a degree, actually, historians still wonder if actually that guy was put up to it by Alexander or by somebody that wanted to see Alexander succeed.
Oh, wow.
Alexander's a suspect. Maybe he paid or bribed or threatened the guy. His mother is a suspect because prior to Philip's death, Philip married another woman. She also had a son. But Alexander's mother was not from Philip's empire. She was from another country on the other side of Greece.
Yeah.
But Philip's new wife was from his conquered empire. So there was the claim that, her son is legitimate and Alexander is not legitimate, or
tale
at least
as
less
old
so.
as time.
So yeah, but if I kill daddy while the other kid is still a baby, then yeah, the older son is gonna pretty much take over.
Dang. So how old was he then?
I want to say he was 18 at the time.
Dang. And he just like got to work. I'm going to conquer the world. I'm going to be the best.
It wasn't immediate. One of the first things he had to do was convince. So Philip died shortly after he had consolidated control of most of Greece. Well, what as often happens when a leader gets replaced, all the people that didn't really like the leader in the first place kind of test the water, see, hey, how much can we get away with before the new guy takes over, see what the new guy's going to do.
Now's my chance.
Alexander had to very quickly put that down and say, hey, there'll be none of that.
Yeah.
And so it took him a while to put, I don't remember how long off the top of my head, to put Greece back in its place. And then shortly after that, he did what his father was never able to do. He crossed over the sea to begin the invasion of Persia.
Wow.
And so most of his years as king of Macedonia or emperor of Macedonia were spent conquering the Persian Empire.
So how does it make you feel to contemplate the fact that in just about a decade, young Alexander the Great accomplished more than you have in your whole life? Because you're an old man now.
I am humble enough to suggest that he was a better man than me. He was born to more privilege than me. That's what it was. Yeah, he was born. The dude was born a prince.
So if you were born a prince, you would have conquered all of Asia.
If I was born a prince, I wouldn't have stopped at Asia. I would have conquered the world. Because after all, I think we can both agree that the world is a mess, and I just need to rule it.
And that is a Dr. Horrible reference.
It's a good movie. Still waiting for Dr. Horrible 2 if Joss Whedon is listening.
Right.
Well, Joss Whedon and Neil Patrick Harris.
Yep. Felicia Day. Nope, she died.
What?
Ooh, spoiler. No, the character.
Oh
my gosh. No, the character.
Don't do that to me.
Oh my gosh. No.
That hurt.
No, as far as I know, Felicia Day is alive and well and doing her thing.
Okay. And Nathan Fillion. Yeah, got
Nathan Fillion. That's the one we need back. All right. Well, we'll stop there.
We need all three of them back. I mean, well, okay, yeah, Felicia can't come back,
She
but
can't.
Nathan Fillion and Neil Patrick Harris can come back.
Yes, they could.
I wouldn't mind seeing Moist again.
Yep.
He was funny.
Yep.
And those three, and Bad Horses Entourage, they got to come back.
Yep. Now, just as a reminder, this is a family-friendly podcast, and I know that we let our kids watch Dr. Horrible, but we did censor some parts of it. So note to parents, if you don't know what we're talking about, watch it. It's hilarious, but watch it before you show your kids.
Yes.
There's just a couple things that need to be censored.
There are places where you, as an independent parent, capable of making your own independent parently decisions instead of listening to the mandates of some people that don't know history that well.
Oh, come on.
But know how to Google horse names. Then make the decisions for yourself.
Yes, I am a prude. That's true. But anyways, so...
Say horrible. History is horrible. You're horrible. I love you, though.
Yes. All right. Thank you all for listening. If you liked what you heard, then please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to hear a future episode with more information about today's topic, email us at marriedtohistorypod@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at marriedtohistorypod.
Also, please contact us if you have a silly question idea or if there's something from history that you would love to learn about.
Just be sure to specify in your message if it's silly or serious, because we don't want to treat genuine quests for knowledge as a joke. And I know you all love hearing me lose my cool when Shirley asks me a ridiculous question.
Yes, we do. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk to you later.
History isn't horrible, people.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, are you ready? I think I just deleted the script. Hold on.
Okay, well, I know we've done this song and dance a couple of times now, but we're certain that those numbers counting up mean go. Like go 15 seconds ago, go.
I just deleted the script.
That was a silly thing to do.
Hold on. What is it missing?
What am I supposed to be holding on to? The
what
microphone?
Is it missing?
It's got like a little
wait, undo
thing here.
Oh, it's
I'm
not.
afraid to
it's
touch
not
it because like I don't want to break it or something.
Okay, the script is not deleted. I really need to save this. I need to back it up somewhere.
So I don't have to hold on anymore.
You don't need to hold on anymore.
That is great because I was afraid of touching that thing. What is that supposed to be anyway? Is that hook it into the wall or something?
No, you're supposed to be able to attach like a, what's it called? A pop filter.
One of those spit filter things.
Yeah, that's what that's.
I just confessed. We're too poor to have a spit filter thing.
No, it came with a spit filter, but this microphone's only designed for one person, not two.
Okay.
So if we put the spit filter on, it wouldn't do us any good because it would go in a place that it doesn't make
You'll
sense.
learn something new every day.
Yeah, weird. Okay, you ready?
Oh, yes, I guess so.
Okay.
Well, the thing tells me that I should have been ready a minute and 25 seconds ago.
I'm ready.